Hey, what's up? Scott Balkum here with Imagination Creation Films, and today, well, we're talking about this little guy, the Osee G7 3000 nit 7-inch monitor. Ooh. So before we jump into this review, I want to take a moment to ask that you click subscribe to this channel. We are a growing community of filmmakers just like you, and well, we think you'd be a great part of it. Remember to click that little alert bell next to it. That way you're notified every time we do one of those cool live streams or every time we upload a video. So on to this little guy. So when I first got the red Komodo, I realized that I needed a bigger monitor to use it in bright sunlight and to pull critical focus. And since my eyes have slowly degraded to the point where my close-up focus is not quite what it used to be, I determined that a 7-inch would probably be just right. And since the 7-inch works well on my DSMC2 body, I knew it would be ideal. So I sought out to find the right monitor. Now, I'd looked at several brands out there, and some of them were very cheap and some of them were very expensive. And I wanted a high bright monitor, and it had to have SDI so it worked with the Komodo, but also HDMI was kind of needed as well. And I really wanted it to have some serious tools built in and not just like a simple histogram for exposure. I wanted power. Now, owning two Osee production monitors already, I decided to give Osee a look to see what they had. And it turns out that they had something quite close to what I was looking for, the Osee G7 monitor kit. And I reached out and I requested an evaluation unit, and Osee was more than happy to see what I thought. So, in transparency, Osee did send this unit to me, but as always, I am free to review it as I see fit. You are getting an honest review. So within a week's time, the Osee G7 monitor, it showed up. And I was surprised to see that it showed up in a nice hard case with a ton of accessories. Inside the case was a monitor, a mounting arm, a D-tap power cable with a locking connector right there. And it has an AC adapter as well, a V-mount battery plate, and a sun hood, and then of course the monitor itself. Now, powering the monitor can be done in several ways. First, they use the standard SONY NPF type batteries, and there's a single slot on the back for it. Now, battery life is reasonable, but it's better when you turn the brightness down to about half. But at full brightness, I got right at about 2 hours of use from a 970 battery. So you'll need a few of these in your kit, but that's where the options come in. Now, there is a locking D-tap power cable that you can use to plug into any V-mount in your camera or virtually any battery with a D-tap connection on it. To make this even more versatile, well, they've included a V-mount plate that you can attach to the back of the monitor. And well, I mean, you use it with the D-tap cable, but I mean, it's still compact. Now, this is more for use as a director's monitor than just a regular monitor on top of a camera, but it is an option. And I kind of wish it had 2 battery slots on the back instead of 1. Doing so would allow you to run the slimmer batteries and get about the same runtime, but you'd have a much slimmer package. But I mean, this is a minor thing, and honestly, running the D-tap power cable is probably the best solution in so many cases. Now, there is a voltage monitor on the top, so you can keep an eye on the battery, and I believe it turns red about 5.6 volts, and it turns off the monitor at 5.3 volts. At least that's what happened in my testing. Now, mounting the monitor is straightforward. It has a 1/4-20 on the top and the bottom, and they do include a small monitor arm, which can be useful for larger camera configurations. Now, in my case with the Komodo, I went with a more compact tilting mount just to keep it simple, but I mean, this is there and it's right out of the box, ready for use. Now, the Osee monitor is rated at 3000 nits, and I have to be honest, I thought 2000 was bright. Wow, 3000 can be a little like looking into the sun. Okay, maybe not bright as the sun, but it's a bright monitor that works exceptionally well in bright sunlight. So bright, in fact, you don't need a sun hood, which they've provided in the kit. I mean, it's always nice to have one, and it really does solve reflection problems, and it makes the contrast proper for most of the run and fun. Well, that's what I'm calling it when I shoot with Komodo, run and fun shooting. But having the ability to leave the sun hood in the case is great because it's bright, and you don't need it in the bright sunlight. And it makes the monitor even more compact and portable like the Komodo. Now on the display itself, it does have an IPS display, and it is a resolution of 1920 by 1200, so that gives it a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. Now contrast is a little on the low side at 1200 to 1, but I mean this is not a monitor that you're going to be using for critical color choices, but rather quick decisions in the field. I mean overall I have to say that the color on the monitor is not bad at all, especially when you operate at about half the brightness. I found that you still can see it in the sunlight, but the color accuracy is much better at about half brightness. Now, obviously when you increase backlight, it tends to wash the colors a little bit, and this is the case on virtually every small monitor out there that is a high bright. Now with the Osee, you can do a fair trade there for slight loss of color accuracy for the extra brightness when needed, but I typically use it at about half brightness and I gain that extra color accuracy. And I found it to be very useful to judge the color with the monitor in this configuration. Now, the monitor accepts up to a 4K signal through HDMI and 2K through the 3G SDI port. Now, controlling the monitor is done with a simple point, really. It's 1, a power switch, and 2, a joystick. Navigation through the menus is, well, it's done solely through the joystick, and I will say it takes a few moments to understand the navigation design that they have used, and then once you spend a little time with it, well, it becomes second nature. For instance, to open the main menu, you slide the joystick over to the left and you hold it for a few seconds, and then it brings up that option. Navigate up and down is straightforward. Land on something you wish to change, you simply click, and then use the left and right to adjust the setting. When finished, you click once more and you're back to the main menu. To exit the main menu, well, you'd simply go to the right. Now, while on the main screen, you can navigate to the different scenes that you have programmed by clicking either left or right until you reach the scene number that you want. Now, they call them My Sets, but I'm going to call them scenes because it feels more fitting. But to access the tools on that scene, simply click and joystick down to the tool you would like to insert, and then click again. Now, it's going to turn green, letting you know that it is now active. Now, if there isn't a tool on there that you'd like to add, you just need to add it, and you go down to the plus sign, click on it, and then choose the tool you want from the various options. Now, that will return you to the tools menu. Simply configure your tool that you just added by moving to the right, and then you can configure it just by selecting and navigating just as before. And then when you're done, click to exit. And yeah, tools are pretty easy to negotiate on this monitor. Pretty easy. I mean, once you get used to that joystick navigation system, but didn't take that long. Now, to add a new scene, hold the joystick to the right for a few seconds, and then click, and then you can configure it just like the rest. Now, there is an SD card slot on the side for loading firmware or even LUTs. Yes, you can add LUTs, and that's kind of nice. Now, some of the tools you could add are false color, histogram, waveform, vector scope, adjustable focus assist, scale, aspect ratios, safe zones, level, well, it's a level, adjustable zebra, peaking, image resizing, LUTs, and more. And it also has an anamorphic D-squeeze as well with a 1x, 1.33, 1.5, 1.66, and a 2x. Now, it doesn't have 1.8 yet, but I believe that will be coming. I believe so, is what I've heard. Now, size-wise, it's fairly compact with a little less than 1-inch bezel on the sides and even less so on the top and bottom. It's a little thick, but it's just as thick as others. So, I mean, I would love it to be paper thin, but I mean, let's be honest. We have to deal with what's in the world as it is. And to have a high bright monitor, you got to have a little bit of thickness in there to get all of the LEDs that are required to get it that bright. It weighs in at just under a pound without the battery, and it does have a headphone jack, and it does have a speaker. A hint, the speaker does pass audio, so turn it down while recording or you're gonna get a little bit of feedback. So what are the negatives? Well, there are a few little nitpicks, and I kind of mentioned one before. I wish it had more than one battery tray in the back. I mean, really, it would be nice to be able to hot swap batteries. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I mean, when it comes to the grand scheme of things and the things that we would like, that's what I like. But one battery is fine. It lasts just over 2 hours. Can't really complain about it. And I mean, you do have the DTAP battery option as well, or the cable at least. Now, the other thing is the power button. Now, it feels like it needs to be recessed a little more, and I've accidentally brushed up against it more times than I wish, and I haven't really powered it off yet accidentally, but I have to be careful there. And I mean, you're not always running your fingers along the back, but it's something that I noticed. And then thirdly, I would love it if it maintains its color accuracy in the higher brightness settings, but this is kind of a little nitpick as there's really no monitor on the market that does this at high brightness. I mean, there's OLED monitors out there that can maintain their color accuracy as they go brighter, but you're not getting 3000 nits out of an OLED, not out of a 7-inch monitor. So this kind of works out, and it's a reasonable compromise, but you know, if I'm pointing things out, that's what I'm pointing out. And you know, if I'm honest, it's something that I would like to improve. So positives, well, there's many really. It is a small, lightweight, really bright, fairly accurate color, and it has a ton of useful tools on board, and it really helps in getting the exposure and the focus right. And in the end, well, that's a heck of a lot of what we really need to do our jobs. And oh, the cost? Well, I mean, it's affordable. Nah, it's really affordable. Yeah. And on top of that, they run specials every now and then, and they may even have one running right now. If so, well, look in the description below for the details, because, you know, if I put it in now and somebody sees this 3 years later, they're going to say, that doesn't work. So just go down below. I'll always try to have the latest and best deal if they have one down there. But yeah, just check in the description down below. And you know, it really is a versatile monitor, and quite honestly, it is going to live on my Komodo. And I'm probably going to be picking up another one shortly to use on my Dragon for those bright sunny days, which Texas, yeah, there's a lot of those. And because seriously, for what you pay, you get one heck of a bright, useful monitor. And that's just what the doctor ordered. Well, I'm not a doctor, but I did play one on TV once. Well, no, technically I was a weatherman, but yeah, I mean, I did play a weatherman on TV once. Yeah, so you get it. So what do you think about this monitor? Does it sound like something that checks all your boxes? Well, let me know down in the comment section down below. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I try to read and respond to each and every one, even if it's just to say thank you. As always, please remember to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you like. If you don't like us, you know, just give us a thumbs down. It's okay. We can still be friends. Remember, you could support me via any of the options down below. PayPal is always greatly appreciated. Or you can join us on Super Chats. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty slick monitor, especially for the price. So yeah, as I like to leave it, don't let your passions center around your life. Let your life center around your passions.